Of, if I said I am scared Aaron Rodgers is going to go scorched earth against the New York Jets in week 1, what say Lou?
I'd say this is very likely, and I could see this happening. Look, we talked here, what was it, March, February, about the fact that these two entities needed each other, that me and Aaron Rodgers needed the Steelers needed Aaron Rodgers just to play football. It sounds like from people who are on the field, from people who are at practices, meaning Jalen Ramsey talked about it, our own Ryan Clark talked about it when he was there at training camp. This guy looks loaded for bear. He looks like the old Aaron Rodgers from a throwing the football perspective. No, he's not the same athlete. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's had a ruptured Achilles. So we're not expecting him to look like Lamar Jackson. We get all that. But as far as his cerebral capability and his ability to throw the football and lead this offense, I think he's going to light it up. And I think Pittsburgh, the fans in the surrounding area and people nationally who go, man, we don't need that headache with Aaron Rodgers. Why don't we get him out of here? Why did we sign this guy? I think you're going to be sitting there going, oh, I see why we signed him.
Could be. Obviously, there'll be a lot more hype when he plays Green Bay, which I think is week 8 or somewhere in the middle. But against the Jets, that also feels like a pretty special game for him.
If they can block, if they can protect him. Aaron Glenn's going to play a lot of man coverage behind. It's hard with his quarterback as accurate as Aaron Rodgers to cover receivers and man the whole game. If they can protect him, he can put up big numbers. If they can't, it's going to get ugly.
Well, I think he's also going to provide Arthur Smith to have less gray hairs. Think about all the quarterbacks that Arthur Smith has had since he took over as head coach for the Atlanta Falcons and then last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to allow Aaron Rodgers to be able to do things and run that play action, but I do agree with Nick. If they can't block in the run game, if they can't protect Aaron Rodgers, it's not going to matter.
All right, one more for you. If I were to say, and I've heard a lot of people suggesting this is a possibility, that Russell Wilson and the Giants are going to shock the Washington Commanders week 1, what say Lou?
I'm just going to say that's not likely. I think Jaden Daniels, look, I think, if the question would have been, what's the likelihood of Jackson Dart starting by week 3, I would have been like, okay, that's a little bit more likely. Yeah. But I think Washington is for real. I think what Jaden has brought to that area, and Nick, you live down in that area, you know how real it is. This guy is raising everyone's level. He's getting people to play above and beyond what they ever thought they could do themselves because of the fact that he is such a unique, transcendent talent. They've upgraded the offensive line. His boy is back in town now, and Terry McLaurin. The running back position, I think, is going to be even more explosive. Remember the name, Ja'Cory Bill Krosky Merritt. Remember that name. He's the rookie who's going to light it on fire in Washington. Defensively, you talked about the fact that they need to make sure they are stout against the run. This team's for real. And Washington has something to be excited about for the first time in a long time.
Giants are going to have a pretty scary defense, though, right? I think
they are.
That Giant defense, that pass rush, Abdul Carter and everything.
Lawrence and Thibodeau, like that front is going to be a problem. But, I mean, if they can protect it, and we saw with Jaden Daniels' ability to understand protections and athleticism, like I think that D-line is going to be a bigger problem for other quarterbacks. It's going to be a problem for Jaden Daniels, but not nearly as much as it could be.
So the thing about Jaden Daniels, he forces you to play 11-on-11 football. And that's the kicker. He led the Commanders in rushing last year with 891 yards. So that component of it all, I love.
I think I've said it many times here. I think the Giants are going to be much, much better.
They will be.
Their record may not necessarily reflect that based on how tough the schedule is. They open with Washington and then the Cowboys. Coming up, first take.
All right, Steelers Nation, buckle up. Because today we're diving into what might be one of the spiciest storylines of the entire NFL season opener. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a Week 1 showdown against none other than the New York Jets, the team that Rodgers walked away from, the team that thought he was their savior, and the team that he's now going to face right out of the gate. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've heard the Rodgers drama before, we've seen the injuries, the ups and downs. Can he really still bring it at 41 years old? And I get that, but folks, let me tell you something. Based on everything coming out of training camp, based on insiders like Ryan Clark, Jalen Ramsey, and other veterans who have been around the field, Aaron Rodgers looks absolutely dialed in. They're saying he looks like the old Rodgers, not the guy we saw struggling through injuries in New York, not the guy who spent most of last year in recovery, but the Rodgers who slices defenses apart with his brain, with his arm, and with that little bit of swagger that only he has. Look, we know he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not going to outrun linebackers or turn broken plays into 30-yard scrambles. That's not the point. What Rodgers brings to this Steelers team is exactly what they've been missing since Ben Roethlisberger started to fade. Someone who can control the game with his mind, who can see the field like a chessboard, and who can make throws that 95% of NFL quarterbacks wouldn't even try. And let's just be real about this. The Jets' storyline is too perfect. Week 1 in MetLife against the team that put their entire future on Rodgers, only to have him blow out his Achilles in 4 snaps. Do you think Rodgers doesn't have this circled on his calendar in red ink? Do you think he hasn't been waiting for this exact moment? Steelers Nation, I'm telling you right now, this isn't just another Week 1 game. This is personal for Rodgers. He's going scorched earth. He's walking into that stadium with something to prove, not just to the Jets, not just to the media, but to every single critic who said he was done. And here's the thing that excites me the most. He doesn't have to do it alone. This isn't Rodgers in New York behind a shaky line trying to force-feed Garrett Wilson while the rest of the offense sputters. This is Rodgers with DK Metcalf on the outside, with Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith at tight end, with Jaylen Warren in the backfield, and with a Steelers defense that's going to give him the ball back again and again. Think about that formula. You've got a Hall of Fame quarterback with the lowest interception percentage in NFL history, paired with a head coach in Mike Tomlin who wins close games at a 65% clip. You put those two factors together, and you're not just looking at a playoff team, you're looking at a team that can win ugly, win pretty, and everything in between. Now, here's where I get fired up. Vegas, DraftKings, FanDuel, whoever, they've got the Steelers win total at 8.5. 8.5. This is a team that won 10 games last year without Rodgers, with Mason Rudolph, with Kenny Pickett, with an offense that could barely move the football some weeks. And now you're telling me that with Rodgers, with Metcalf, with Warren, with a revamped offensive line, this is somehow a worse team? Come on, that's disrespect. I want to hear from you, Steelers Nation. Are you with me? Do you believe this team is about to smash that over and shock the NFL in Week 1? Because I'm telling you right now, I see Rodgers walking into MetLife like it's his own personal revenge tour, and I see him walking out with a statement win. Now, let's also be real. There are questions. Can this young offensive line keep him upright? Can they open holes in the run game so Rodgers doesn't have to throw 40 times a night? That's going to be the key. Because the perfect formula for this Steelers team is Rodgers throwing about 25 times a game, taking his shots downfield off play action, and letting the defense and the ground game set the tone. If they try to turn this into Rodgers slings it 40+ every week, yeah, that could be a problem. But here's why I'm confident. Rodgers knows that. He's not coming in here to prove that he can still win an MVP. He's coming in here to prove he can win games. He knows this could be his last ride, and he's not going to waste it trying to be 28-year-old Rodgers. He's going to be 41-year-old Rodgers, smarter, more efficient, more dangerous in the moments that matter. And don't forget the defense. Yes, they had a shaky showing against Carolina in preseason, but let's not overreact. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, those guys weren't even out there. This defense, when healthy, is still one of the nastiest units in the AFC. And that's where the Jets should be worried, because you put Rodgers with a defense that can win you field position, that can steal at turnover late in the fourth quarter, and now you've got the perfect storm. So Steelers Nation, here's my call to you. Do not buy into the narrative that this team is mediocre. Do not let Vegas tell you they're an 8.5 win team. Do not let the national media sleep on Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if history has taught us anything, it's that you can never count this team out. I'm fired up for Week 1. I'm fired up for Rodgers versus the Jets, and I'm fired up for the chance to see this team prove everybody wrong. But I want to hear from you. Are you all in on Rodgers in Pittsburgh? Do you think this is the year Tomlin finally gets that playoff win that's been eluding us? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're riding with the black and gold, and make sure you subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire because we're going to be breaking down every single storyline all season long. This is it, folks. Rodgers, the Jets, Week 1, the start of a new era in Pittsburgh. Buckle up.